Two Cuban men were released after a 3-year unlawful detainment. A revelation comes to light that national health insurance will likely be delayed, and a convicted murderer who was on the run for 2 weeks was recaptured by police. We've got those stories and others. I'm your host, Krishna Virgil, and this is the Tribune's Top 5. After nearly 3 years in prison without a court order, 2 Cuban nationals were freed on Thursday.
The 2 Cuban nationals, Carlos Pupo and Lazaro Sierra, who have been held in detention in the Bahamas for almost 3 years, were released after a Supreme Court hearing on Thursday morning. Pupo and Lazaro appeared before Senior Justice Stephen Isaacs for a habeas corpus application, calling on the state to justify their detention or set them free. The men had been held since 2013. The judge heard that Sierra had never been brought before the court in breach of the law, while Pupo was fined by a magistrate for illegal landing but had paid it, as well as his airfare back to Florida. But both had remained in custody. The Cubans have claimed they were abused and beaten at the Carmichael Road Detention Center. Pupo appeared as a witness in the trial of the 5 Royal Bahamas Defense Force Marines accused of carrying out a series of high-profile beatings at the detention center in 2013. He testified against the officers. Both men were returned to custody until the court order has been signed and formally issued for their release. Free National Movement Chairman Michael Pintard has conceded that the party is in a difficult place and facing tremendous pressure to settle internal disputes urgently. The divisions in the official opposition have played out in the media for several weeks, giving the appearance that the party is a fractured organization. Senator Pintard said while this was the result of pushback from a very small number of persons within the FNM, he was hopeful that the party would be able to deal with their issues in a timely manner. His comments came while he was a guest on the 96.9 FM talk show Morning Blend. Mr. Pintard said with a general election imminent, executives in the party have found themselves working tirelessly to foster unity, shifting the focus away from the internal matters to issues of national importance. He also attempted to clear up the perception that there is a rift between himself and Long Island MP Loretta Butler Turner after a scathing letter she sent to him earlier this week was leaked to the media. In it, she rebuked him over allegations that he was planning to hold an executive meeting in Long Island this Friday without consulting her. However, Mr. Pintard has denied any secret attempts to meet in her constituency, insisting that Mrs. Butler Turner was aware that the meeting was to take place. He further defended FNM leader Dr. Hubert Minnis, saying that despite criticisms that he was not an eloquent speaker and did not have good command of the English language, he still connected with many Bahamians who see him as one of them.
In an email leaked to the Tribune this week, in which Long Island MP Loretta Butler Turner rebuked party chairman Michael Pintard, further insight was given into the fractured organization.
Mrs. Butler Turner has rebuked FNM chairman Michael Pintard over accusations that he and other party executives were planning to hold an executive meeting in her constituency on Friday without consulting her, which she said is in contravention of the FNM's protocols. In an email sent by Mrs. Butler Turner to Mr. Pintard on Monday, she said the planned meeting was most egregious and disrespectful and raised suspicions of ill intent and corrupt practices. The Tribune obtained the said email. In it, the former FNM deputy leader added that this was the 3rd time she has found it necessary to remind Mr. Pintard of protocol, which dictates that where there is a duly elected member of parliament, the member is to be consulted regarding activities and meetings in their constituency. She said, quote, "I trust that this will indeed be the last time that I must remind you of your duty to be seen as upholding and guiding the principles upon which our FNM was founded. This comes as speculation mounts that a certain faction within the FNM is backing Fort Charlotte MP Dr. Andre Rollins to run as the party's candidate for Long Island in the 2017 general election. When contacted, Mr. Pintard said there is no truth to the rumor that the party is seeking to hold a meeting in Long Island to support, promote, or ratify Dr. Rollins. He said Mrs. Butler Turner, who has worked tirelessly on behalf of her constituents, has the support of the party. The nation's leader on Wednesday said his administration's main focus is on getting it right regarding national health insurance in the aftermath of Health Minister Dr. Perry Gomez's revelation that the implementation of the health care scheme will likely be delayed. The Prime Minister said he was unaware of any country that was able to roll out universal health care over a period of 5 to 7 years, insisting that it is a work in progress. He was responding to a question from the Tribune on whether he was of the view that postponing NHI's introduction would reflect poorly on the government. NHI's primary health care phase was expected to be introduced in April. Mr. Christie did not give any indication on how long of a delay the government was considering. He said, quote, "I am never one to be judged on the basis of time sequences. It's getting it right. The reason why I am involved is to get it right. I said whether it is Dr. Dwayne Sands or whether it is any other doctor, it's important for the government to get it right, and that's the priority we will always make. Making sure that those who have the responsibility for this get it right, and the government makes decisions that it doesn't have to go back on. So when it comes to timing, remember now, no one is paying anything at this stage, because as the Minister of Finance, I took a position that before we reach that stage where we pass on obligations to the people of this country, we must get it right."
After escaping a prison bus 2 weeks ago, Ormond Leon was recaptured by police and returned to the Bahamas Department of Corrections.
Murder convict Ormond Leon, who escaped from a police bus 2 weeks ago, was on Thursday sentenced to more than 40 years in prison after a Supreme Court judge found that he was apparently unwilling to remain in police custody for the court's sentencing. His exact sentence is 41 years, 6 months, 2 weeks, and 1 day. Justice Bernard Turner, in delivering Leon's sentencing for the July 10, 2011 murder of Francisco Hanna, said the 2 weeks and 1 day of his sentence represents the amount of time he spent on the run after his escape from police custody on February 2nd, as well as the 1 day after his sentencing was originally scheduled to take place on February 16th. The sentencing came almost 12 hours after police announced that they had captured Leon in southwest New Providence, marking the end of a massive 2-week-long police manhunt for the most wanted convicted murderer. On Thursday morning, Leon was escorted into Justice Turner's chambers by more than a dozen police officers, including Chief Superintendent Paul Rule, officer in charge of the Central Detective Unit, to ensure that there would not be a repeat of the February 2nd escape. The officers also stayed for the duration of the proceedings.
Want to get in on the discussion? Well, here's how you can. Just log on to our website at www.tribune242.com. Like us on Facebook, the Tribune News Network. Send us a tweet at Tribune242 or subscribe to our YouTube page, Tribune242.